pregnancy should be a time of joy and not anxiety for the woman and her family. Do you want to learn more about pregnancy or have questions about fertility and reproductive health? Then join Dr. Linda Vanutu on Facebook and YouTube every Saturday at 4 p.m. on the online pregnancy school as she discusses pregnancy, delivery, and childcare with experts.
When people get married, one of the things they look forward to is having children. Sometimes people marry for years, they try to have babies, but looks like that eludes them. In other instances, people get married and not too long after they have children. But what are the experiences that they go through? For the first time man, for the first time woman, and even the family who will be looking forward to their grandchildren and nieces and nephews and the rest. And that is what we're going to look at today. Today, I have a couple, a very wonderful couple to share their story with us. Remember that we are doing the My Story session of the online pregnancy school. And my special guest for today, a family, the G's family. Wow, they'll tell us what it means. I don't know.
Well, we are here. The G's, we are here.
The G's, yes. So the G's are going to tell us their journey with the first time pregnancy. So let me welcome you officially, and I'm very happy that we have this opportunity. This is the first time we are having a couple discuss a session. So that is very, very important. One in your feather. A feather, very big one in your cap.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So please tell us who the G's family members are.
Oh, okay. I guess the man is the head of the house. So basically, the G's is a short form for Gbogla. Normally, we don't have people mentioning the surname very well, so we decided to shorten it as the G's. Wow. So basically, if you hear Mr. and Mrs. Gbogla, that's the meaning. The G's stands for the Gbogla. Anyways, I'm a media consultant. My name is Michael Gbogla, and I've been doing media work for almost a decade and some years. And I guess that that's what I've been into for a while now, and still practicing it. So basically, I'll leave it for my better half to also say something.
Okay, so my name is Brenda Lutrot. I haven't yet changed my surname, so I still use the Lutrot, but I'm also Mrs. G, Mrs. Gbogla.
I like the Lutrot, I like it.
Yeah, that's just fun. And I'm a broadcast journalist, I'm a banker as well, and I'm an author of my book, Life Bumps and Rides. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It is interesting. Very, very interesting couple, a combination. I'm happy when I see people who can impact lives. So once you have a book written, it means that you are impacting other people's lives, because whatever you have, if you keep it in your head, nobody would know it. So once you put it there, it is good. And I'm happy that I'm also an author. I've written 2 books, and I'm looking forward to publishing my 3rd one. So I'll take inspiration from you.
Congrats.
Yes, I'm taking inspiration from you, and I'm going to go ahead and finish writing the 3rd one. That is
awesome.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Awesome.
So, Mr. and Mrs. Jean, I know that you have a son. We can hear him at the back. So, we'd like to know, when you got pregnant, or no, when you got married, what were you looking for? Were you expecting that within the first year you'll be pregnant, or within the first 3 months? What were your expectations?
Okay, so when we got married, we weren't too sure when we wanted to have kids, but one thing our counselor told us at counseling was that you should have an open mind and you shouldn't limit God. So you don't know whether God will bless you with a child in your first year or your second year or your 3rd year. So when you put a limit to it and say, oh, we're as a couple, I mean, we are going to maybe wait 2 years before we have a child. Really, at the end of the day, if after 2 years you can't have a child, you partly have yourself to blame, because you can't really tell God's timing whether within that 2 years he had gifted you a child and you hadn't, accepted it. So we were very open-minded. Not to say that family planning is bad though, but we were very open-minded. I'm young, so I mean, I didn't really want to have kids immediately after I got married. I wanted to work and get money and, I mean, enjoy life a little bit before. Yes, I did. I wanted to work and get money and then, chill small, before having a baby. But I mean, 6 months into the marriage, I found out that I was pregnant. So that's when it all began. Yeah.
Okay, so let me bring Michael in. So Michael, she wanted to chill small. I don't know whether you also wanted to chill or you were looking forward to having a baby as soon after marriage as possible.
Okay, so I think my opinion is different from hers in the sense that when we got married and everything, before we had gotten married, I attend a prophetic church and I believe in the prophetic. I'm a Christian. So there was a number of prophetic meetings we have gone to where there was issues of the fact that it will not be easy for us to have a child and all that, but we should pray and all that. So that alone ringing at the back of your mind even tells you that if you don't take care in marriage, you're not going to have a child. That scarcity was always there and everything. So when we got married, for me, my agenda was to make sure that, okay, if I have prayed and everything, it must come to pass. So that even if it's one child that I'll have, at least I will thank God for it, that, okay, I came on this earth and I was able to at least bring somebody also on this earth. So the process started, and you find out that from this thing, are you pregnant? For me, I was very anxious. Then you go like, yeah, I was very anxious. Are you pregnant? She would say that, my message just came. I said, how? After all that I have done, then you enter into the next month, you do everything. After all this I have done. So at a point and everything, it became an issue. And I told her that it looks like you don't want to get pregnant. It's like you don't want to get pregnant because more or less because at the time we married, I want to be real so that people will understand our story very well and take a cue out of it. Yeah. So when we married and everything, things were not all that easy. Things were very difficult. So then at the end of the day, it wasn't even a wise decision around that time to even give birth, to get pregnant, because then we both of us can't even survive. Both of us can't even survive getting pregnant, like survive as in taking care of ourselves, and yet we want to actually get pregnant and then take care of somebody else. So it was quite a decide, like more or less like we're in a certain level of thinking and all that and everything. Oh God, work is really frustrating us. So then at the end of the day,
if you just joined us, I'm talking to Mr. and Mrs. Michael Gbogla, or the G's family. They are sharing their story with us about their journey with the first pregnancy.
Then the whole thing started. So as I was saying, it got to that point where we felt that, okay, this is how I was feeling. So I started accusing her that, listen, you don't want to get pregnant because of our circumstance of not having much enough to actually take care of whatever it is that we're doing and everything. So then she also got angry. So at a point we were both angry at each other. Okay, you don't want to get pregnant and everything. That is fine. Keep yourself, because probably I was saying as a man, I don't have money to take care of us and everything. So you don't want to get pregnant. So basically that was it. We were going back and forth with the issue and everything. Then finally, I think there was a particular week. We were so, I don't know what it was, but I think we were both happy. I don't know what happened. What happened?
Hey.
Okay, so I put all the gist in my book, but there was a particular week. So I worked at the bank at the time. And so anytime I close from work, I would go home, meet my husband, and then, we would play games,
we will fire.
do things.
We will fire.
It happened continuously for like a week. And
Back to back.
yes, it was, I don't know, it was very strange. But every time, it was like after work, this is the agenda, for a week. And so after that, I think a few weeks later, I started having, all the pregnancy symptoms. So I was nauseous, I was vomiting and all. And every time I complained, Michael would say, oh, you know what, you are just tired. The work is stressful. And by then I was a teller, so it was so stressful for me, I mean, having to, close at 5 and then balance, count my money and all that before I get home. So, I mean, it was difficult. So I took it as one of those things. Then one day I woke up and I said, no, I mean, I'm feeling really strange. So let's just go to the hospital and check. And then he said, okay, you know what? I'll take you to the hospital. So I called in at work. I told my boss that, I'll come to work, but I'll be a little late. So, so she should give me that time. So we went to the hospital, and then lo and behold, after I checked, the results came. It was positive. So I was pregnant. So
wow, you were pregnant. This is what you were looking for. Sure.
Yeah.
So now, Michael, when you heard the news, what happened? How did you feel?
Okay, so I was one of the most excited people on earth around that time. I don't know, because as soon as the results was handed over to me in a sealed, we were sitting there, so just in front of the laboratory. So I even asked the guy, why did you seal it? Because we are just here, So I was extremely excited. And then after I opened it and then he saw the smile on my face, he said, congratulations and everything.
Wow.
I was so happy, so happy. Like, I was so excited. It was, I don't know how it is. I wish it was captured that day. I was so excited and everything. It was like God has answered my prayer. Actually, this is what I was looking for and everything.
No, God had answered my prayer because you were accusing me.
Oh, okay.
He was accusing me that I was deliberately not getting pregnant.
God has answered my prayer. God has answered my
prayer. Both of you, your prayers.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes,
that is wonderful.
But at this point in time, we are speaking for ourselves. So
each for himself. Okay. Each for himself. But
so God had answered the prayer. I was excited.
Okay.
I was excited and everything. And it was awesome. So I think that after we left the hospital and everything, there was a popular tilapia joint.
Yeah, went to eat banku and
tilapia. To celebrate on top of the child.
No, I didn't vomit.
Okay.
Around that she didn't vomit. So I was extremely excited, honestly.
Wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are still sharing my story, and I'm talking to the G's family. They are sharing their journey with their first pregnancy. So now we've reached a point where a diagnosis has been made that our dear sister is pregnant. Now, Michael, what was the journey like in the first 3 months of the pregnancy?
Okay, so there was this thing I kept on hearing. I don't know. I think when you were in Ghana, I think I asked about it. One of your programs.
Yeah, I think it's called COVID.
What's COVID? No, let me explain. It's not your question.
When he was having the symptoms, so he was vomiting, he was nauseous, he was
Yes. So in the first week, I was the one who was having the symptoms, like, and I didn't believe it. It was stories. So I saw it as superstition. So it was the first time experiencing. I was the one feeling so nauseous. I was vomiting and I was doing everything and all that and everything. And it was some way. And then for the first one, so she has to leave the office. Fortunately for us, where we're living and where her bank was very close. So around lunchtime, she would leave with an excuse, come and take care of me, bring me food in the house and everything. So I was pregnant for the first week, actually. So yes. So like I was saying, I was actually the one vomiting, feeling restless, all the nauseous. Like it was some way. I was feeling some way. So at the point and everything, she would have to close from the bank and then find an excuse, not close. Around lunchtime, she would come and give me food because our house was close to where her workplace was. So then she will come home, come and give me food and everything and all that. And then she will go back and everything. So for the first 1 week, honestly, I was the one who was pregnant. I was the one who was pregnant.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an interesting story, isn't it? So we are listening to what happened to the G's family. I'm sure you are enjoying the conversation, especially when they went for the banku and tilapia. Somebody who was vomiting, now that she's been told she's pregnant, instead of the vomiting continuing, now she's able to eat banku. Okay, so let's ask her. So how did you also feel the first 3 months of your pregnancy? Because, you know, ladies and gentlemen, just to remind us that pregnancy is divided into 3 months each, and we call each 3 months a trimester. So we are talking about the first trimester. We have had some discussion on the first trimester, and this is when it is really a bit challenging for a lot of people. Some of them vomit, they are not able to eat, they feel so unwell. And for a lot of women, when they get up in the morning and they feel that way, they think they might have malaria or something else. And in her case, she thought that it was because of the work, but actually she was pregnant. It's also at this time that we have to be careful. So my counsel here is that if you are a woman, you are sexually active, you get up in the morning, you see that you are not feeling well, don't just think that it is anything and therefore you take any medication. Because some medications, as we have learned previously in our session, are not supposed to be taken during the first 3 months of pregnancy because they can interfere with this baby's growth, the development of the baby. And we want to avoid that as much as possible. So now let's hear what she also felt within the first 3 months, and then we move on to the other trimesters of pregnancy. Okay. So
the first 3 months, well, I had morning sickness, I had nausea, I had fatigue, I was vomiting, I had constipation, I had food cravings and aversions as well. And so I think the first 3 months were very challenging for me because, I mean, it was a mixture of so many things I couldn't tell, you know. One moment I'm feeling all lively, the next I'm like very sick and all. And I was working too at the time. And I remember, you know, I mean, I didn't have that kind of support where I would be given maybe spare time to take a break or something. You know, work is work. And so I still had to put in my maximum effort. And I remember at the bank, I would sit down on my chair for close to, 8 hours or so. I go to work in the morning. As at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, I haven't had lunch because there are so many customers in the bank. You have to attend to them. And we run shifts. We are just 3 tellers. So one person has to step out, you know, and then the 2 have to remain and wait when the other person returns before you can also go for lunch. So it was very, very difficult and challenging. Yeah, very difficult and challenging.
I can imagine, very difficult and challenging. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have just joined us, this is the online pregnancy school, and we are sharing my story. I'm talking to the G's family. They're sharing their story on their first pregnancy. How did it go? And what did they do to manage all that they went through? Let's go for a very short break. You are most welcome back. So before we went, we were talking about how challenging it was for our sister during the first 3 months. So how did you manage to overcome all this? Because somebody listening to us might also be going through the same thing and would want to know, how did you manage as a woman working and feeling this way in the first 3 months of your pregnancy?
Okay, well, I'll say that I just took life one day at a time. It was a process, and I had spoken to few people. Not everyone was having the same, feelings as I was. There was a lady in my workplace who was also pregnant. So we would share, how are you feeling? She would share her experiences with me, and she didn't have any of my symptoms, So I just took it like, okay, you know what? Let me just take life one day at a time. It's a process, so it will get better. My boss at work was also, like 8 months gone. She was almost due. And so she would encourage me and say, you know what? You'll be fine. It's a process, so you'll be fine. So she also really, really encouraged me. Because she was one of the first people to actually tell me I was pregnant, even before I went for the test. Yes. So she used to say, yes. She has 3 kids, so she had the experience. So she would say and said, no, Brenda, onyemo. And I said, why? I'm not pregnant, no. And she said, onyem. Oh, me who are there? So that day I went to check and I got back to work. I actually said, boss, you were right. Oh, I'm pregnant. And she was so happy for me. And she was like, yeah, it has happened. You should be happy because not many people get pregnant in their first year of marriage. Exactly. And so, yeah, exactly. Having a child is a blessing. Yeah.
Exactly. It is true. Not many people do that. So, Michael, want to know what support were you able to give to her during the difficult times when she was vomiting and feeling so unwell?
Okay. So, personally, as like I said earlier before, it's more or less like I was the one that was looking for a child. So then, at the end of the day, it's like I'm being overly protective that even if whatever happens to her, nothing should happen to the child. So I was overly protective. And then, like she was saying, she didn't have appetite for food, all those things and everything. So at the point, I was frustrated, very, very frustrated in the sense that you have to buy maybe 3 or 4 kinds of food. You ask her that, what would you eat? And she tells you that, I don't know. Then it's like, okay, I'll eat rice. Whilst you're on your way and everything, she tells you that if you get banku, buy. So there was a time when I step out to buy food. I make sure I buy like 4 different food, like banku, rice, wachi, something, like 4 different types. And the annoying aspect is when she has to tell you to go to a certain place to get food. Sorry. And you bring it back, and all she does is to take like 2 spoons, and the food is wasted. And around that time there was no money, so that you go like, why are you doing this? Why are you frustrating me in life? And it was amazing. It was just an amazing moment and everything. So at a time where in the evenings she can't sleep, she has to sleep in a certain posture for a while. She has to put her head on top of you. There was this kind of, and it's the first time getting somebody pregnant. So actually, and living with the person, so it was like, okay, what is all this drama, all this frustration for? So at the point, I was like, oh, I was the one who asked for the child, but now this thing is getting out of hand, And when you ask people, everybody will tell you, oh, it will be fine. Oh, it's normal. And then people will begin to share their stories and all that. So when you hear other stories, you get to find out that, oh, okay, I think yours is better, mine is better and everything. And I quite remember around the first week and everything. She said she doesn't remember. She told me she wanted ginger. And it was late in the night and everything. And I had to go look for the ginger for her. And when I brought it, she just put it in her hand and she smelled it. She was putting on the nose or something. I was like, what spiritual thing is this? But then after a while, she just put it away.
I don't remember.
Yeah. And then she keeps on, every time she keeps on saying she doesn't remember. So I was like, So what was wrong to were you in a certain realm before he asked for that and anything? But I actually got it for her. And the next day there was no issue of any ginger anymore and all that. So I didn't have. And then another thing, the experience was that she could actually tell the smell of a food, like food. So let's take, for instance, she sends you to one point to buy food and you buy it from another place. She's able to tell the smell.
Wow.
And then she didn't like the smell of, she didn't like the smell of certain foods all of a sudden, like eggs, and some things, and then perfume. So now, if you dress up and you have to use roll-on, I use roll-on outside the house. So my roll-on and my perfume, everything was in my bag. So woe betides you if you forget yourself and you even like put perfume on yourself around kitchen or something. Like that whole day, you find out that it's another thing altogether. So it was a journey. The first 3 months was a journey. It was quite a frustrating journey.
It was a journey, and that is why we always say that when you are at home with a pregnant woman, please be prepared, because she can send you in the middle of the night to go look for something that you may not get. And when you bring it back, you may eat very, very little of that. And don't be angry, because it is all part of the journey. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the online pregnancy school. My name is Dr. Linda Vanotu. Today we are talking to the Jewish family. They are sharing their story about pregnancy, the first pregnancy that they encountered and how they managed to go through. Let's go for this show. Welcome back. So we're going to continue. Now we will fast forward to the second and the third trimesters of pregnancy. How was it like for you, Brenda?
Okay, so I enjoyed the second trimester so much. I mean, there was a certain glow. I mean, my skin, I looked, my color came back, unlike the first trimester when, like I looked very stressed and all that. And it was just normal. I had back pains, but it was okay. Things were not really tough in the second trimester for me. It was really smooth. I could go out without anybody even noticing that, I was pregnant, because the bump was really small. And, I really enjoyed the second trimester. So
what about the third one? What about the third?
So the third trimester was extremely difficult, because now it was like, hey, I have to sleep on my left side. It's a mixture of everything. I had heartburns a lot. Like any food I eat, the least time I eat is 4 p.m. and I could wake up at 1 a.m. after eating maybe banku and okro and vomit everything. And you see the lumps of banku in the vomit, it hadn't digested. So yeah, it was tough, really, but I just took it one day at a time. And that's what I seek to encourage other mothers to just take it one day at a time. All these things, they are just unique to my pregnancy. So you can have someone who literally not go through anything I went through, but that doesn't take away the fact that, pregnancy is a process. And so you need to enjoy the journey. You need to actually understand that it is unique. And so whilst you're at it, you need to just enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, Yeah.
Wonderful. You need to enjoy the process, and that is what we want. The reason why we have the online pregnancy school is for us to be able to give information, people to know what to do, and also to know that it is a journey. It's a journey that may be different for different people, but also there are certain things that may be common. And so as you learn, Brenda is telling us that she took it one day at a time. What a way to go, one day at a time, because she knew that definitely the end will come. So, Michael, how did you take the second and the third trimesters? Because you said the second was cool, but the third was not.
Okay, so the second was cool for her because then probably she wasn't having all the same. But when she comes, you have to massage her. You know, you have to give her foot massage. You have to give her hand massage. Back.
No, that's all. Just back massage.
No, but let me tell them why. Let me tell them.
Pain.
I have to tell them what I went through. Why are you cutting some off? So then there was back massage, leg massage, hand massage, all these massages and everything. And sometimes you find out that the person will sleep on one side of the bed, and then she wants to put her head or her leg on top of you, and you don't have to turn. Like, there was another thing altogether. Like, as a man, you can't even have. So during the day, when she has actually had a time of sleep, this young man, when she has actually had a time of sleep and everything, so in the morning, that's when you're actually also catching up with sleep, because it looks like you have been at an all-night service, and then you need to, or been at like some work in the night, and you are just coming in the morning, because throughout the night you couldn't sleep. She wake up, and the annoying aspect was that it was a self-contained. So if she has to wake up to go and pee, she can just wake up to go and pee. But when she wakes up and she's feeling like peeing, no matter how asleep you are, she will wake you up just for you to know and tell you that she's going to pee. And then some of the times you have to stand and wait for her, or you have to hold her to go and pee, bring her back. And then it's like a commercial break in your own sleep, and you have to continue. So it was like that. It was amazing. It was amazing. And there were times when in the night, around the third trimester, there were days when I would wake up and cook fried rice. There was one instance where I did fried rice late in the night, around 1 o'clock. And wow. I told her, why? It was like witchcraft. Like, yeah. So I really didn't get it. You find out that around 1 a.m., the person is demanding for you to prepare fried rice for her to eat. And I asked her, around 1 a.m., even if there was a restaurant, you wouldn't have even gotten food around the stand. So what was the point? But I did all that. You have to cook, and around 1 a.m., 12 a.m., 10 a.m., as and when the demand comes, and it was like that. It was difficult.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. For me, it was difficult. It was difficult.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about my first journey with the pregnancy. And today I'm talking to the G's family. They are sharing their story. It's interesting. I haven't stopped laughing since the beginning. And I hope, but we have gone through the full 3 trimesters. Now, at delivery, when it was time to deliver, what happened?